This is Shihab Ull Mehadi, welcoming the 4th year honors students to online class. Today I am going to deal with the very first course of the syllabus, that is 19th century novel, and from that course I am going to take Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Before going in detail, I would like to provide the students with a format that they can apply while reading other novels. The format that I want to give is on the screen. They should start with the title. As a student of 4th year, you must be careful about the title. Since at the end of your course, you have a vivacity face. It so happens that the externals sometimes wants to know the exact title. So you must know the exact title of the novel or of the piece of literary work that you read. After title comes the question of author. Along with the title, you must know the name of the author and the exact name. Sometimes the authors use pseudonyms, that is pen name. You should know the real name. Not only the name, along with the real name, you should know where and when he was born, characteristics of his writing, and sometimes it is better to know the philosophy that he held. After that comes the question of genre. In general, genre refers to a style or category of art, music, or literature. A literary genre is a category of literary composition. It is determined by the literary technique, tone, content, or even, as in the case of fiction, length. There are 3 basic genres in literature. They are poetry, drama, and prose. Though prose can be divided into fiction and non-fiction. Each of these genres has subgenres. For example, the subgenres of poetry are epic, elegy, lyric, etc. Drama can be categorized as tragedy, comedy, tragicomedy. In fiction, the subgenres are novel, short story. The subgenres of non-fiction are essay, autobiography, memoirs, etc. Therefore, as a student, you must know the type of work you're reading. After genre comes age or period. That is when that particular piece of literature was written. Then, the very important point, that is point of view. Point of view plays a very important role in fiction. What is point of view? The point of view of a story is how the writer wants to convey the experience to the reader. To be plain, point of view refers to who is telling or narrating the story. Point of view is of 3 types. First person point of view. In this type, one of the characters tells the story. Then second person point of view. Here the writer has the narrator speaking to the reader. Finally, third person point of view. Third person point of view has an external narrator telling the story. There is a category of third person point of view, that is omniscient point of view. This is also third person point of view. Here the narrator is all-knowing and all-seeing. After point of view, the point I want to talk about is the tone. Tone is the way a story gets told. In other words, tone is the way the author expresses his attitude through his writing. It is an attitude of a writer toward a subject or audience. Next to talk about is the setting. Setting usually refers to time and place. That is, when and where the story took place. The important thing that comes next is the structure of the plot. This has 5 parts. They are exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and denouement. First one is exposition. Exposition is the insertion of background information within a story. This information can be about the setting, characters' backstories, prior plot events, historical context, etc. Rising action. The rising action of a story is a section of the plot leading up to the climax. And what is the climax? The climax is the point of highest tension and drama. Next comes falling action. The falling action of a story is a section of the plot following the climax in which the tension stemming from the story's central conflict decreases and the story moves towards its conclusion. First of all, denouement. The denouement is the resolution of a plot that occurs after its climax. In other words, it is the final part in which the strands of the plot are drawn together and matters are explained or resolved. Then, themes. A theme is a central topic, subject, or message within a narrative. It is also what the work is about. Theme also refers to what the work says about the subject. Motif. A motif is a symbolic image or idea that appears frequently in a story. Motifs can be symbols, sounds, actions, ideas, or words. In some fictions, places play significant roles. Therefore, you should have a fair knowledge of the important places of the novel or of the story. In a novel, there are major characters and minor characters. You should have a fair knowledge of the major characters. Then comes the most important segment, that is the plot. This is the lifeblood of the novel. I suggest you to read the text and to have a fair knowledge of the plot, because that will help you to answer all types of questions, whether it is brief question, short question, or broad question. So you should have a fair knowledge of the plot. When you have gone through the text, you should consider what are the important aspects the text deals with. I ask you to follow the guidelines that I have given. That will help you master the text and do well in the examinations. This being the first class, I would like to end up here, and in my next class, I would like to apply this format to tests of the dermatologists. Till then, stay home, stay safe.